Number 1. The Motorola Dynatac 8000X. The Motorola Dynatac 8000X was the world's first handheld mobile phone, and it looked like a blocky slab of plastic and metal that seemed better suited for a battlefield than an office. Released in 1983 after a decade of development, it weighed 2.5 pounds, stretched 13 inches long, and held a 10-digit LED display with 21 physical buttons. The keypad was purely numeric, no fancy functions, just dial and talk. It stored up to 30 numbers, had a removable nickel-cadmium battery, and offered about 30 minutes of talk time, with 8 hours on standby. The antenna extended from the top like a radio whip, and charging required nearly 10 hours on its bulky docking base. Despite all that, it was cutting edge. For the first time, you could make a call without being tethered to a car or a wall. Motorola engineer Martin Cooper made history years earlier by calling a rival from a prototype while walking down a New York street, the first public cellular call ever made. Owning a Dynatac was a status symbol. At $3,995 US, over $11,000 in today's money, it became an icon for bankers, brokers, and celebrities who wanted to be seen talking on the future. It wasn't practical. You needed a briefcase to carry it and serious biceps to hold it, but it proved that personal wireless communication was real. The Dynatac didn't sell in massive numbers, yet it changed human behavior overnight. For the first time, people could call from a moving car or a street corner and be instantly connected. Every pocket-sized phone since, from the flip to the foldable, traces its DNA back to this heavy humming brick that started it all. Number 2. The Nokia 3310. By 2000, cell phones had become smaller, cheaper, and more personal. The Nokia 3310 became the global favorite. Everyone knew someone who had one. Students, parents, even grandparents. It was famous for its durability. People joked you could drop it off a roof and it would still send a text. The long battery life, customizable faceplates, and the snake game made it both reliable and fun. The 3310 sold over 126 million units and defined Nokia's dominance in the early 2000s. Its simplicity kept it popular for years. Eventually, as cameras and color screens took over, it faded quietly. But the nostalgia for it never did. Decades later, Nokia even re-released a version because people missed it that much. Number 3. The Motorola Razr V3. In 2004, Motorola delivered something that made people want to show off their phones again. The Razr V3. It was thin, metallic, and sharp looking, with a satisfying flip sound that made hanging up feel dramatic. The blue backlit keyboard and slim profile felt futuristic. The Razr became a fashion accessory, showing up in music videos and celebrity hands everywhere. Motorola sold over 130 million units, but after that, they stopped pushing technology forward. Smartphones started arriving, and the Razr suddenly felt outdated. The company's obsession with style over software cost them their spot at the top. Still, few phones are remembered as vividly. Even years later, the flip sound of a Razr closing hits pure nostalgia. Number 6. The BlackBerry 850. Before the iPhone took over, the world's business leaders swore by BlackBerry. The BlackBerry 850 and the models that followed were built for one thing: communication. Its physical keyboard made typing fast, and BlackBerry Messenger (BBM) let users send instant messages securely before WhatsApp existed. Executives, politicians, and journalists couldn't put them down. Even President Obama famously fought to keep his BlackBerry when he entered the White House. The company's mistake came when touchscreen phones started appearing. BlackBerry leaders dismissed them, believing people would never give up real keyboards. Within a few years, their market share collapsed from nearly half the industry to almost nothing. BlackBerry's story is a classic case of success turning into stubbornness. They built the first real smartphone culture and then refused to evolve with it. Number 5. The Apple iPhone. When Steve Jobs took the stage in 2007, he didn't unveil a phone. He unveiled a new era of technology. The first iPhone combined a touchscreen, an iPod, and internet browsing into one sleek device. There were no buttons, no stylus, and no need for physical keys. Everything worked through touch and gestures. The first model sold over 6 million units, but its real breakthrough came a year later with the App Store. Suddenly, anyone could build and sell apps, and your phone became whatever you wanted it to be: a camera, a map, a flashlight, or a tiny arcade. The iPhone redefined expectations. Competitors tried to match its polish, but Apple's design and software registration built loyalty few brands could rival. It wasn't perfect, expensive, fragile, and dependent on yearly upgrades, but it shaped how modern life operates. Every major phone since has followed its blueprint, willingly or not. Number 6. The HTC Dream, or T-Mobile G1. Right after Apple's success, Google introduced its challenger, the HTC Dream, also known as the T-Mobile G1. This was the first phone to run Android, an open-source operating system anyone could modify. It had a touchscreen, but also a slide-out keyboard for those still attached to physical typing. The design looked clunky, but it laid the foundation for every Android device to come. The G1 wasn't a huge seller, yet it opened the door for a future that would dominate global markets. Android's openness allowed dozens of manufacturers to innovate fast, leading to the variety of smartphones we see today. Without this phone, Samsung, LG, and many others might never have entered the smartphone race. Number 7. The Samsung Galaxy S3. By 2012, Apple had ruled smartphones for 5 straight years, until Samsung released the Galaxy S3. It offered a bigger screen, removable battery, expandable storage, and a camera that rivaled anything on the market. More importantly, Samsung's advertising was bold. They ran commercials mocking people for waiting in line for the new iPhone, calling them followers. The message hit hard. Android could be powerful, stylish, and free of Apple's limitations. The Galaxy S3 sold over 70 million units and marked the point when Samsung officially became Apple's equal. It also made Galaxy a household name, spawning one of the longest-running smartphone lines in history. That rivalry between iPhone and Galaxy turned the smartphone market into a global duel, one built on innovation, lawsuits, and loyal fan bases that still argue to this day. Number 8. The iPhone X. 10 years after the first iPhone, Apple celebrated the milestone with a complete redesign, the iPhone X. It dropped the home button, introduced Face ID, and stretched the display to every edge. The design felt new again, futuristic and simple at the same time. The screen used OLED for the first time on an iPhone, giving deeper blacks and more vivid colors. The $999 price tag shocked people, but it sold in record numbers anyway. The gesture-based navigation felt natural, replacing the old button press with swipes that made every interaction smooth. The iPhone X also set the standard for what premium meant: wireless charging, glass design, and performance that turned a phone into a pocket computer. iPhone used the X to start a new visual language. Nearly every iPhone after it borrowed its shape, and even Android phones adopted similar edge-to-edge displays. It quietly retired the classic iPhone look that had lasted a decade. The iPhone X didn't just close one chapter, it started Apple's modern era of devices that rely on cameras, sensors, and AI to do more than ever before. From facial mapping to augmented reality, it became a platform for technology that goes far beyond calling or texting. It showed that smartphones weren't just tools anymore, they were evolving into digital ecosystems, running people's entire lives.